record on this computer.
There it is. So it's finally Friday, Tom. It's Friday. We're going to wrap.
Life is flying by.
I know it really
April's
is.
done.
It's weird, right? It's May. Tomorrow's May.
A third of the year is gone.
It feels weird to me because I've lost all concept of time staying home like that.
Speaking of losing things. Oh, by the way, my name's Tom Wise.
Oh, hi, I'm Melinda McKinsey. You're going to unpack some shit with us.
And okay, he's here right now. Pat's got a gig tonight. So he's here and the bass player's here. Okay. And about 4 weeks ago, I'm in the house and I'm looking for my keys. Did I tell you this story?
No.
I'm looking for my keys and they're in there rehearsing.
Okay.
And I mean, at some point I'm like, they can either be in a pocket. I thought I left them on the banister of the, or I usually leave them in the car. There's not a lot of places these things could be, or they could be maybe my desk here.
Sure.
Small. It's a small list. My thought was I left them on the rail on the banister.
Okay.
So I spend 12 minutes looking for them, and I just go into the band rehearsal area, and I make the announcement. I said, "This is crazy, but has anybody seen my keys? Like maybe somebody stepped over them or whatever." Bass player reaches in his pocket. "Oh, are these them?"
What? I don't even know what to say about that. What is that about?
He goes, "Oh yeah, I drive a Chevy." I go, "Well, those are Ford keys."
Thought they were his. That's a place you would not have looked, Tom.
Yeah, that's gonna be one of the last. I'll get there eventually.
Oh,
but
no.
so by the way, I have this really nice pair of snippers that I sold on Home Shopping. They're for pruning and clipping. Have a great gig, my friend.
Oh, excellent.
You and the band, crush them.
Bye.
Bye. Really nice pair of clippers. See you, G. Have a good show, my friend. Yes, we're getting a late podcast in. Look at this. Where were they found?
By the tomato plants.
No shit. G-Dog.
You got 3 fingers pointing back at you.
Boom.
He wanted that on tape.
But now that I know they flip around backwards.
Oh yeah, these are awesome.
Let me just take this one.
Give me that damn thing. It's always the bass
If I
player.
had known.
Always the bass player. This is for pruning, and this is for really, trimming a leaf.
Very cool.
And
Yeah,
surgery.
very cool.
So the other day, then he did something else that was bizarre. He had another bizarre incident, like, I don't know what it was, but it was like, it led me to come up with the phrase, "It's always the bass player." Whenever something crazy is happening, it's the bass player. So we couldn't find these for 2 days.
Oh no.
And he was the last one to use them. So Patrick and I are like,
Were they in his pocket?
No, they found them. They appeared by the tomato plants.
So Patrick is trying to say you left them by the tomato plants. That's
Yeah.
Oh, Patrick.
Does that sound like me? I'm gonna leave my favorite clippers just dangling by the plants.
Seems odd. I don't know.
You know what? It could have been me, and it probably was me. But
Well, the good news is you got them back.
yeah, I mean, because I try to trim some flowers. Me and the flowers. I tried to trim some flowers with regular scissors the other day, and it was hard. I go, Pat says, use your clippers. I use these clippers. It was like a laser beam going through, steel.
Now, what about your keys? Do you have a spare set?
No, I've got a spare set somewhere in this world, but ever since the move, they're who knows what box they're in.
That's the worst feeling. So when I got the Honda, it only came with one key, right? And it's been the pandemic, so I haven't had another key. So
That's crazy. They didn't give you 2?
No, of course they're like, no, we only got one I can pay to go to Honda.
It's like $400.
It's a lot of money, but if you lose the one key, you're pretty screwed.
Don't
So
say the word.
I think I'm gonna have to get another, but I'm so nervous I always leave the keys in the same spot because I'm so very afraid,
I leave mine in my car. Good
Well,
luck stealing a car with 300,000 miles on it.
maybe I should try that here in Brooklyn and see what happens.
But there's a peace of mind that goes along with that. I don't give a shit. You'd be doing me a favor on one scale. You'd be doing me a favor because I'm too damn lazy to go get a new car because it's working.
I'll tell you what about, well, this one's only a 2018, but it's so cool. If you have your keys on your person and you
Right.
walk close to the car, it just automatically unlocks, which is so lovely. You know what I mean? You don't have to get the keys out, which I love. It has so many things I didn't know cars had. Like if I turn on my right turn signal, the back camera comes on so I can see if there's anybody behind me.
Isn't that lovely? A Corolla tells a crazy story, may I? The 30-second
Sure.
version.
Yes.
He was having somebody jockey his wife's car back and forth, whatever, and some guy left the keys on a tire. Like, hey, I don't have access to your house. I brought your car, your wife's Tesla, and I put it on the car on the tire, right?
Okay.
He doesn't get this message. He's figuring that someone's left the keys inside the Tesla. So because it's open, so he goes in the car, right? And it starts because the key's within 8 feet of that ignition, and he drives off, crushing the thing, and he gets to where he wants to go. And he's like, I wonder where those keys are.
That's terrible.
That doesn't happen with the old-fashioned way.
No, that's bad. Now, is Corolla the one that made all the comments? Is he the podcast guy that made the comments about?
Yeah, I'm about done with him. I don't listen to him anymore. I used to listen religiously. It's too much politics and too much the wrong side of the politics. I mean,
Or is it Joe Rogan the one that said this stuff about that? Because I just read, I think it was Rogan that said, he made an off the cuff comment about getting the shot and how it's ridiculous. And I guess he got contacted by the White House and they said, we need to show you some science. Too many people listen to you and what you're saying is very important. And he has apologized and said he was wrong and he's so sorry, because you know what? You forget how much power you have
oh yeah, no doubt about it.
on you, and you make these comments like you and I. Everybody that's listening to us, they hang on our every word. We have to be so careful.
Well,
So
you see how packed my comedy shows are. You see how the carts are flying off the shelf. People are just everything you say.
be so careful.
No, but Joe Rogan has a huge following.
Yeah, it was Rogan, and I'm pleased to say that he listened. Because the White House, what I read was they weren't telling him what to say. They were saying, "Be careful with your words."
Yeah, I mean, we're trying real hard. We're barely in some states that are really doing well, getting to 50%,
Right.
and it's slowing down.
Right.
Whereas in India, they're just it's madhouse.
It's heartbreaking. I think as Americans, we try real hard to just whatever normal is, right? We want normal. We want our life. We want our freedom. And I get this sense that we're not aware of how connected we really are to everything, because this India thing affects us just as much as anybody else. I mean, I feel like it seems so distant to some people, right? I mean, people, I'm reading story after story and I had to stop myself because it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. Do you know how many people live in India?
I do not.
So we have an idea how many people are in the United States, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, India is probably 4 times that.
Add 1 billion people. We have 350 million-ish. They are 1,300,000,000.
I did not know that.
It's insane. They're like the second highest population outside of China. China's like 1,000,000,008.
I did not know that.
And just imagine how jam-packed they are, and this virus is going crazy.
Have you read why? What has spun it out of control? What happened?
Well, they think gosh, I hate turning this show into this, but they thought that they had it under control. Then they had one of the world's largest spreading things, a politician, blah, 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 a concert, and everything came together. And all of a sudden the thing's gone nuts. It's insane.
Sorry. Well, here in New York, de Blasio, who I'm not a fan of, de Blasio said July 1st that's it. no hold bars. We're open. Everything's back to normal July 1st. So we'll see, what happens with our shots. I guess we have a higher rate here in New York with people getting the second
Yeah.
shot.
Well, that gives you 60 more days to get it together.
Well, I hope, here's what I worry about though, Tom. He says stuff like that, and then people lose their minds, right? People stop being safe because they're like, oh, we're so close.
You're seeing already, I walk into that hobby store with the race car.
Oh, yeah.
On the door, it says everybody must wear a mask. Nobody inside's wearing a mask.
Oh, no. Why? I don't like that.
No, it's just everybody's thinking it's over and it's not for me and it's not going to happen, blah, blah, blah.
That's too bad. Well, did you also hear that America is running low on chicken?
What? Why did we lead with that?
Here's why. I saw that, sometimes you just need a really good title to draw you in, right? And it says there is America's running low on chicken. There's a fried chicken craze. And so I read the article. Bloomberg says
He loves chicken.
Because of the pandemic, more people have been ordering comfort food, right? And at the same time the pandemic happened,
McDonald's.
Popeyes started this whole chicken sandwich war, right? And they were very smart with their marketing. Their sandwiches sold out, and now it's become. I actually do prefer Popeyes over.
Have you tried the McDonald's chicken? Because McDonald's came out with a new chicken sandwich too to compete with Popeyes.
Yeah, I tried the Crispy Club or whatever it was. It was pretty good, but Popeyes, just the spice on it just has more of a bite.
Well, they got 3 different.
McDonald's. Yeah, they had like a fancy club, and they have like a regular. I mean, the chicken was good. There was nothing wrong with McDonald's chicken. So anyway, they were saying, here's the other part of it, Tom. It's not just the comfort food, it's the processing plants, because with the pandemic, so many people got sick. And because the way the processing plants are set up and they're all very close together, a lot of people got sick and got COVID, and they don't have enough people to replace them to work in the processing plants. Again, being connected and how everything is connected, they can't make enough because they don't have enough people, because too many people have been sick, and the processing plants haven't responded as well to the protocol of keeping everything clean and safe. And so it's just a whole system that's falling apart. So that's why we're running out of chicken.
We're not just angry at chickens. There's a real reason.
No, we could be angry at them. And I mean, have you found yourself eating more chicken during the pandemic? And chicken wings, of course. They said chicken wings are crazy popular during the pandemic. People were ordering them right and left.
I don't hardly. I'm like, I'm not eating a lot. I certainly don't having big deals. Whatever. I'm eating a lot of what Pat's making. Pat made an unbelievable chickpea patty.
You have a very unusual situation there, sir. Most people don't live the way you live, where you have a full-time vegetarian chef.
It was glorious. I hate to show pictures because they look like hell on the camera, but he had made this unbelievable meal. It's like, wow, I'm taking a picture of this. Look at this. And again, I apologize in advance.
And for the iTunes people, I'll do my best to describe. It looks like something from a magazine.
Look at that, right? Those super red tomatoes, that spinach and back, and then a chickpea patty that he fried. And I claim I triggered him on that because I was on the Facebook, and I'm getting vegan, hey, get your vegan things delivered on a regular basis, right?
Yes.
And they had this great picture of these guys were making like avocado patties and this other type of patty. They're taking it, scooping it out with an ice cream thing, and then flattening with a plate, and you get this little patty, and they're sticking in the hot dog. So I sent that to him, and sure enough, the next day he's making chickpea patties. And he doesn't think that there was a relationship. I go, my God, I sent you. That was the first thing in that video.
I would say
I can control him now. I'm the puppet master.
You've got to give Patrick all the credit, because
No credit. It was my idea.
no,
He gets all the credit.
bring all the work. Let him have it. Let Patrick have
Absolutely.
it. Because what does he do? Research all the time? How do you keep making different meals all the time?
He's got the book. He's one person I know that actually uses a cookbook. Can you believe it? I thought it was just like for decoration.
I mean, no, why would you ever really look at
Yeah,
it?
look at the cookbook. Doesn't make any sense. That's crazy talk.
No.
Hey, can I give you 2 jokes that my brother gave me for the show tonight? I usually don't tell street jokes.
Yes.
So the guy walks into this cable guy, meets him on the street, says, hey, did you know the time? And the guy says, yeah, it's between 9 and noon.
Is that the whole joke?
Yeah, he's a cable guy.
Oh, yeah, that was, yeah, I get it now. It doesn't hit as hard as I thought it was going to hit.
So this guy's second wife was originally married to a clown. He had some big shoes to fill.
That one I get. I get that one.
The first joke I try to give it as little background as possible, but maybe I need another beat to fill it in.
Yeah, because honestly, because I don't know where you're going,
Right.
hard to put it together.
Yeah. So the guy gets asked, and the cable truck guy comes out of this truck and hey, do you know what time it is? So maybe give it a bit more context.
Yeah. So you've got a show tonight with Mr. Steve Laszlo at the what in Tarpon?
Silver King Brewery at 8:30.
At 8:30 tonight. So if anybody wants to go,
Yeah. I will publish this before then, that's for sure.
and hopefully you'll also at some point maybe do like a Zoom or something so people that live far away can also listen. If you have me watch on a Zoom, I'll laugh at all the jokes.
Well, you're not laughing now at my jokes. So I suspect that you may not laugh during the show. I don't know.
Well, but if I am
You're a tough laugh.
if I'm at a comedy show, it's different. I have never been one to go to a comedy show and go, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. We're here for a reason. Huh?
Yeah, no, you're right. You always support the comic. You always laugh. Why would you try to dissect a joke at a comedy club?
So I don't know if those ultrasonic pest repellers work, but I put one by my toaster, and then the next day spelled out in crumbs, do you mind if we change the station?
See, you lost me at the first thing because I don't know what it was you were describing. The what that you put next to your toaster?
Oh, you know what? Again, more setup. It's an ultrasonic pest repeller. It gives out a sound that's supposed to chase the roaches away.
Okay, ultrasonic pests. Okay, I didn't.
Again, I need to see. This is good. This is good for me to test the joke here because because the joke is best if it's as few words as possible. But if you don't have enough words to explain the joke, then what's the point?
Keep them all under the format of dad jokes, and so people know what to expect. You know what I mean? The dad thing always works.
I'm afraid I'm challenging myself. I may tell a story tonight.
Stories are good. That's how I would do my stand-up is just tell a story.
Tell a story about the condom that didn't fit. I don't know. Maybe
we all love the good condom, those long stories about condoms. We love it.
Nobody's had a story like the one I'm going to tell.
Of course not, Tom. Well, then you should tell it.
And I got it's a great punchline too.
All right. Do you have a scene from a movie or a TV show that you will never forget that made a big impact on you?
I always think about how The Exorcist, when I saw her head spinning around, and I go, oh my, I was like 16 when I saw that, maybe younger. It was a rated R. You're supposed to be 17 to get in. And it was one of those situations where, oh yeah, there's only 3 seats left. They're all in the front row.
That's the only film I ever watched that it genuinely horrified. I was scared.
I was scared. I couldn't sleep.
I wish I wouldn't have gone. It was too real and too scary.
Yeah, it was insane.
Those days, whatever year it came out, it felt very real.
I'm guessing it was like 58, 68, early 70s.
Okay.
I'm guessing that was insane. So then that movie, and then it's funny because this is kind of a standing thing. I did not watch The Wizard of Oz all the way through for many years. I mean, when I was 7 years old, the witch would show up and I'm out. I'd go spend the rest of the family's watching the show. I'm in the kitchen doing whatever. Then I finally, years later, make it through the witch part. Okay, there's monkeys. I'm out.
The flying monkeys were.
I probably watched that thing 5 times before I watched it through.
No, I don't know anyone that's not afraid of those flying monkeys. No, monkeys should not fly. That's horrifying.
I mean, the witch scared the shit out of me. Yeah. And then you get it through there, then the monkeys.
That's so funny.
And so my experiences with the movies are horrifying. The ones that stick with me.
Interesting. Yeah, when I saw this question the other day, and for me, it was a movie with Joaquin Phoenix and Ron Howard's daughter. I always forget her first name, that beautiful redheaded girl.
Yes.
Um, The Village. Remember the Village? It was one of M. Night Shyamalan's films that came out after The Sixth
I
Sense.
think I didn't see that movie.
Oh, Tom, you should see it because then I
I
won't.
love her. She's great.
Oh, she's so good. Yeah, she is just stunning and brilliant in this film. But there's a part in the film that won't ruin the story where they're sitting on a porch talking, and in this film, she's blind. And so they're having a conversation, and it's clear she's let it known that she is in love with him, right? And they live in this village, and she's blind, so she can't read his physical cues, but because she's blind, she senses his angst, right? And so they're having a conversation, and I've watched this scene so many times because it just moved me. I can't tell you why, it just moved me. So they're talking, and she reached for him to say something, and he pulled back from her, right? And so she goes on to explain how she knows a particular man and a particular woman had an inappropriate relationship. And Joaquin asks how. And she explains in a very eloquent way how, because they refuse to touch each other. And she said, that's how you know when someone really cares about someone, because they can't trust themselves to touch each other. And it was right. Oh, you should watch The Village if you haven't seen it. It's so fantastic on so many levels. But when I saw that question, I thought, you know what? After all these years, it just hit something in me because I thought it was such a beautiful way of letting someone know, like, I love you. I know you love me too. I see you can't.
Yeah, once we can't trigger this,
Right?
can't
Oh,
go down the right.
so do you have any love movies or any movies like that where you're like, oh wow, that was a really cool moment?
Oh, I'm shitty that way.
Are you?
I'd have to think about it. It's just like I was listening to my all my relatives were over here last weekend. Jessica, who's a sweetheart, proposed like, what are, if you're on an island, which 8 songs would you take? And apparently this is an old tradition in British BBC radio that this guy came up with this question 50 years ago. And so the tradition is every time you're wrapping up an interview with somebody, you give them this 8, song, 8 songs. And then, we're all thinking, well, the entertainment value of all the songs we would like to listen to. And then she sent a link to us, or to me and a couple of other brothers, where like Tom Hanks was interviewed and he was asked the question. Well, the answer is much more thoughtful than, oh, I like Painted Black, or I like, ABBA, whatever. It's what that song means to you in your life and how it associates to triggers of memory. Or, how it, introduced you to a whole nother genre of music. So we were thinking of it a very superficial way. And every answer now is like, it takes a half an hour to answer this question. It's just not boom, 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 boom. Tom Hanks took forever to answer it. It was great.
Music is so important, isn't it? Because it can transform you in a moment.
Yeah. I always thought, like, you're in the shitty mood, what song would you play? You need to get a bit of energy. What song? I'm rowing. I know everybody's waiting for the rowing update. It may not happen today. And if I've put on, hits of the 60s and all of a sudden it's a love song, it's not jazzing me up. I'm not getting energized. You got to be very careful what songs you got in the queue, as it were.
Yes, that's very true. Do you have like an ultimate favorite song, like that's your go-to song where you're always happy every time?
Well, you know what? Bruce Springsteen's got a couple of songs I could listen to and say, oh yeah, Born to Run, the classics like that. That would be something that would flip me, or yeah. There's
It's
always,
like jump in the car and you turn and you're like, oh, because you go there in your head, which is so lovely.
it's crazy and then why are they always 3 minutes long, give or take? And why is it always something that rhymes? It's an interesting dynamic that is, kind of pulled out of the ether. What does this mean? You're rhyming words and you get a tune. What is all that? Then there's an instrument and then there's layers. It's like, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah. And you said, so Patrick has a gig tonight. Where is he playing?
They're playing at a bar. They've been invited to play at a bar. They practice like crazy. They're going to play for like an hour and a half or something, or 2 hours. Like, wow, that's a lot of energy. And they're very good. Pat's really excellent at the guitar now.
He's the guitar. And what you said they have a nice singer.
They've got this singer, young girl, Sydney. She's very sweet and she sings like a fucking bird. She sounds like Mama Cass. It's like unbelievable.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and then they get, and then Gregory, the bass player.
The bass
Does
player.
anybody see my keys? Does anyone see my?
Nope. Well, very good. So, can I ask you this? If
Yeah.
you
And Brian's a drummer, great attitude. They've got a nice little composition, nice little foursome there.
well, wait a minute. You told me the name too. They didn't go with the band name you suggested, right? You had a really good name, and they went with something else. I remember.
Yeah. They went with She Said or something. She said no, or she said yes, or something like that.
Okay. You had something that was more like a brainiac kind of I can't remember now.
Yeah, I did have something clever, didn't I? Kind of a two ways to look at it.
Yeah, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and look. But if you had an opportunity to change your name, would you do it?
You know what? My name works for me. It's like a blue shirt. It's like the check blue shirt that I like to wear for work. It's
Yeah.
not, it doesn't identify me as a particular race. It doesn't identify, it's, my gosh, it's only 7 letters. It's easy to should be easy to spell. It is not, apparently. People want to put a Y in there and a Z in there and everything else. But, that's a politician's name. I should run for something.
So when you're out, have you ever given a fake name? Ladies do it all the time.
I had this guy I worked with who at Home Shopping, that at one point we became at odds with each other.
Okay.
I mean, he would call my girlfriend when I was on TV. He was a fellow host.
Oh.
It's a minor violation. And she was like simple enough to kind of listen to this guy. Oh, he doesn't, if I was your boyfriend, he's so full of shit. And then she's listening. I'm going, so really, you listen to him? I think we're done. She's listening to all this nonsense about what I'm up to and what I'm doing. It's like, I'm not doing any of that stuff. And his name,
No, go ahead.
And his name is Chuck Podolsky. So I used to use that as a gag name whenever somebody would ask me. So I had that always triggered. I had that always in the chamber. And, it's Chuck Podolsky, whenever I'm doing something, like I'd sign my name on a receipt.
Right.
To get a laugh from the people around in the table, I'd say Chuck Podolsky, as I'm writing my real name,
You know what happened to him? Like where he landed?
I ran over him in a car. I was driving a car. I ran him over 3 times. It was an accident.
Just curious if he ended up with the lady or not.
Oh, he never went out with my girlfriend. I mean, that blew up. As far as I know, maybe he did. He had big balls, if nothing else. He went out with a very attractive model from Home Shopping.
Okay.
He ended up getting fired. This is an interesting story.
Yeah.
So ever since Chuck, did his business with the woman I was living with, I always think, I owed him one, right? So I became the boss at Home Shopping. I became the director of on-air talent. So I was his boss. Now I'm your boss, Chuck. So it would be, ridiculous for me to just fire him. That's ridiculous. It's not that grievous of a situation. But anyway, he was doing a late night show and he was supposed to have this whole New York audience. I mean, the shows between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., even though they seems like it's a shit, you had New York. It was WOR. It was a huge viewership and you could make $35,000, $50,000 an hour, which is not nothing,
right.
For the course of the night. Well, so he gets in, he's doing the show and there's a realization that viewership is gone. I mean, we're down to nothing. He's making $200 an hour, a minute, or whatever it was. It wasn't anything. So rather than just soldier on, and just do the show, you're paid to do the show, whether people are watching or not.
Yeah.
He starts giving punchlines to dirty jokes.
Why?
Because he's an idiot. He doesn't think anyone's watching. He's going to entertain himself at this point.
A terrible move.
Yeah, it's a horrible move. Yeah, and after the stroke of midnight, she turns into she turns into a pizza. It's like, all right. So, I mean, if it was my buddy, we're going to see if anybody else recognizes this and we're going to move on to whatever. But it was brought to my attention. So then I was required to bring it to my boss's attention. Well, he was not happy with that at all.
Well, what did he think he really thought he could do that and no one's going to do anything?
Well, there's nobody watching the show. So he's not going to get any viewership mail. So it had to be.
Water. That's not how you behave.
Of course, nobody would do that. No sane person would be like that. But I mean, I could have sat on it at least for a couple of days for things to cool off to see if anything came from any other angle. But I didn't. In good conscience, I had to tell my boss what old Chuck was up to.
You had to. And did he get fired?
And he was let go. Thanks for coming, Chuck. We can't allow that.
You know what, Chuck? If you undermine people and then you do something stupid, I call that karma.
Well, he didn't have any, you know how people build up a little bit of, you build up a little reserve. So if you have a bump in the road, well, he's a good guy. And we're going to, he had nobody in his corner. Nobody was in his corner. Nobody was going to go to bat for him.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly why I think Martha Stewart went to prison, because she did the same thing a lot of people have done, but she had no one to support her and they didn't like her. And she'd been a bitch to so many people that they're like, you know what? She can take the hit.
Yeah, she's taking the hit. Anyway, Chuck landed on his feet. He ended up going to Las Vegas and he became one of those, he became working for one of the majors as a concierge for the whales. So he would, invite guys from India and China to come play at the Luxor and comp this and comp that, make sure the guy was, entertained. And so that was his job. I'm sure that was a hell of a lot of fun.
What level do you have to be a whale in Vegas?
I think you've got to work at a certain, clearly millionaire, probably multi-millionaire. You've got to be able to walk in and make $10,000 bets at the Keno or whatever the hell that is.
Okay. Yeah, I'm listening to Sharon Stone's autobiography, and it's funny, I wouldn't have known what a whale was a couple of days ago. So when you said it, I was very excited that I knew. She said when they were filming Casino, they had carte blanche until the whales came in. Then they had to stop and wait until, she said, so sometimes they had 6 hours, sometimes 12. You never knew. But when the whales showed up, everything stopped. And I was like, okay.
Allow me to define whale, right? Whale is a really rich person who gets comped suites, bridal suites, food, whatever, because they're spending a lot of money. They could lose $500,000. They could make $1 million. So the swings are huge with these guys, and they're courted. They're come on over here. We'll fly you over. We'll bring 6 of your guests.
Smart business.
Not a minnow. It's a whale.
No, I didn't know what a whale was until a couple of days ago.
Did you ever see that movie, Casino?
You know what? I think I did see it a long time ago, but now that I'm listening to her book, I want to rewatch her films because now I know, the backstories.
Well, there was an interesting part where this Robert De Niro, Yeah. Was her boss. And actually they get married in the movie and he's in charge of the casino. So, but this particular whale comes in and makes a lot of money, 900 grand, $1.2 million, whatever it is. And he's ready to leave in 3 hours. Well, there's a problem with the corporate jet because he's engineered this problem. And he creates enough things that are wrong, but hey, let me get somebody else. We're 9 hours away. We'll get some. It's all bullshit. They don't want this guy to leave. So of course he stays long enough to lose the money and, as he should.
Yes. That's how that works. How anybody thinks they can beat that is beyond me. And I know that people do, because when I used to travel to Vegas for work, I would see people literally with an oxygen tank hooked up, sitting at the little, I don't know if they're called penny machines or whatever. And I'm thinking,
nickels, penny slots. Yeah.
Is that exciting? Is that good?
You're at the end. You are at the end when that's your entertainment. Well, we've got this in the Hard Rock Hotel that's legalized gambling here in Florida, outside of Tampa.
I've been to the Hard Rock. I think it's fun. I think it's fun, but I don't care about gambling, so it's fun to me. I can lose $20 and then go, all right, that's enough, everybody.
See, it's great not to have an addictive personality. I listened to Hunter Biden interviewed on Mark Maron the other day.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry?
No, I said, yeah, I want to know.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was interesting because Mark is a former addict. he's 25 years sober and he's like 55 years old. So he got sober, but he had a hell of a time in his 20s and 30s with all sorts of nonsense that he was, destroying his life with.
Sure.
And he said he read the book. He goes, this guy's not out of the woods yet.
Okay.
Because he really likes the crack. He really likes what's going on there. As he's describing, he goes, "My God!" And then Mark's saying, "I'm reading this, and I'm getting a little clammy as this guy's describing, the score and the whole deal, and he's gone for 4 days. It's like, because Hunter was clean for a bit, and then he relapsed, and now he's been clean for couple years, 18 months.
That'd be rough, right? I mean,
You're not clear yet.
One of my friends was an alcoholic, and the way she described the addiction is that she said it never leaves her mind. She's always thinking about how good that drink feels. And she's like, you have to fight hard all the time. And I just thought, how terrible, you know what I mean? How terrible
Oh yeah.
to feel that I feel very lucky. I don't think it's because, I'm an amazing person. I just feel lucky.
It's great. You don't want to be there because I mean, many, many years ago, I'm in my early 20s. I mean, I never smoked pot until I was out of college.
Okay.
But I had a buddy who had some pot, and then we smoked pot, and then he had some cocaine. Who knows how potent it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, we took a little bit of that. I mean, we're college kids. We can't afford anything. But it's like, oh, this is really nice. But I never was like, we got to do that again. It's like, no, it's just a nice memory.
That's
right?
funny. When I lived in LA, I think I was like 20 years old. I was a young lady. And so I made some friends and we started going to the sushi bar. And it turned out the guys that owned the sushi bar liked having us there. So part of the deal was after we had sushi, we would go have a party, and they all had cocaine. It's the first time I ever tried cocaine. And I must say, I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yep. There's nothing like, yeah.
Get why people get addicted to it. But luckily, I never felt the need to buy it or have it on me. But
and this is why I'm against illegal. I'm against drugs being legal. People say, let's make heroin legal. Let's make it all legal. No way. Part of the thing that makes me not want to do cocaine is the hoops I'd have to jump through to find something. I'm not driven for it. But if it was just, there it is there.
Yeah.
You might do it. It's nice to have a little bit. It's nice to have a little bit of efforting going on rather than just hand somebody money.
I wish there was more stringent rules with alcohol, because I feel like alcohol causes a lot.
It's horrible. Alcohol and gambling. The gambling, the legalized gambling is horrible.
Yeah,
I think.
Do it online now, right? You can just go on your computer.
I mean, I've had all sorts of horror stories. Guys mortgaging the house, losing it all.
I could see where that could happen. When
card rooms.
I bet on the Super Bowl, right? And I won some money.
I know it.
I forgot it. It's still there. I haven't bet on anything else.
It's quite delightful to know that you're not energized like that. I'm sitting on $68 myself in the same account. We could have bet on the draft yesterday.
See, I know. That's what I'm saying. I have like $200 just sitting there.
Look at you.
I need to go do something. You have to remind me, because it's there, and I'm like, oh, I should take because I won 100. I should take my winnings, and then I just forgot about it.
Yeah, well, it's also nice if you don't need money too. That's not life-changing money. If it was $100,000, you might be a bit more focused on it.
You're absolutely right. It's not life-changing money, and it just feels fun to know that I won something and it's just sitting there.
And it's such power to walk into a casino, win $100, get up and walk away, go get the nice meal. Or $500, whatever the number is, rather than you're up and then you end up keep on playing until you lose, because that's going to come.
Yeah, no, I told you I won on the cruise. I won $668 on a little slot machine, and they made the bells and the noise, and they brought it to me, and they started guiding me to other machines, and I said, no, thank you, I'm leaving. Bye.
Well, I've always contended the worst thing is to win those machines.
Well, I felt very strongly that they would like for me to lose that money. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, please do.
So it was fun. Speaking of that, one of the questions they also had was, what's your worst purchase? Can you think of something you're like, man, what's the worst thing I ever spent money on?
Well, I bought an RX-7, which is a nice car, and I enjoyed that car, but I bought it badly.
What do you
I
mean?
was young. I
Oh.
ended up buying it 1 or 2 years old. I
Okay.
got 17.9% financing on it, 17% finance or 19% financing. I would have been, and the sales guy made a shitload of money off that. But if I could have bought a new car with the, 3.9% financing, the payments would have been the same. But nobody's going to tell you shit.
No.
So I enjoyed that car, and it was a good car for me, but I paid way overpaid for that.
Did you know it at the time or in hindsight?
No, it was hindsight, probably years later after I paid off 17%, because they just tell you the car payment. Yeah, the payment's $285 a month. All right, I yeah.
That's hilarious. Well, when I thought of it, I can't, nothing stands to mind as like, oh, one thing that popped to my head. So I'm going to talk about that because it popped to my head. It's a clothing thing, but I think for women in clothes, for me, it was always an important thing. Clothes make me feel a certain way. And it was really when I didn't have a lot of money and I was living in LA and I was in my 20s and I was working at a retail store and I got obsessed with, do you know what mohair is? A mohair sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Angora, but something.
Right. And they were very expensive. I remember it was $90. Now this was 1982 or 3. $90. It's a lot of money. I could not afford it, so I bought it. And
Those two sentences don't match.
that's the problem with being in your 20s. And I remember because it was so expensive, I wore it once and then I put it in my closet. I was terrified to wear it because it cost so much money. It was such an incredible waste. I couldn't afford it.
Right.
It bit me in the end. But I remember I was so obsessed with the beauty of that sweater. It's amazing to me. No one was standing there telling me to buy it. And I wasn't even dating anybody. So it's not like, oh, I want to impress. I decided I needed that $90 sweater, a little retail girl that was making no money at all, that did not have an extra $90. What in my brain made me feel like, you know what, go ahead. You can figure that out later.
Welcome to consumerism. That's crazy.
I didn't have a credit card. So it's not like, I could make payments. It was ridiculous.
It's crazy. That triggers a memory for me. That is ridiculous. I remember working, again, retail, $4 an hour, whatever it was. And I bought a pair of pants. I'd never bought pants in my life. I was 16. Everything I got was from mom, Christmas, whatever. I'd never bought pants.
Right.
And I felt like I was extravagant or something. And I didn't wear them for 3 weeks. I was like, I don't deserve this, or I'm going to get in trouble for buying pants. I forget exactly what the number, but I felt like there's trouble here if I wear pants. They weren't issued to me.
So funny. And it's so funny too, because the era when you and I were younger and spending our money, I think we need to remind people we didn't live in the world that's today that you could compare yourself on social media or see what other people your age were doing. We were all in our own heads. We only knew what our own tiny world was doing. I didn't know what anybody in Chicago was doing.
No, you're very much in a bubble.
Yeah.
Your 73 friends, school friends,
that's it.
Church, neighborhood. It's not a lot.
That's very much what your friends thought. You know what I mean? At least where I grew up, it was a very Midwestern.
You're familiar with the word greaser, as a guy might be described as a greaser?
Sure.
And do you know what the opposite of that would be?
A nerd?
We used to be greasers and dupers. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
So greaser would wear black typically.
Okay.
And dupers would wear white. It was crazy. I don't know if you know if that even it existed much out of this small little area.
Were dupers academics?
Yeah, you were not. It was more of a gang thing than an attitude thing. And I, by the way, I had 5 older brothers and sisters, so I was getting shit coming at me from all angles. Their friends would come over. Nancy's 4 years older, Bernie's 5 years older than that. So that's where I was picking up all this stuff.
So what group were you in high school? What was
I would never be considered a greaser. Because that was also kind of the bad boys type of a deal. So I remember I'm in 6th grade. I'm wearing all white. I'm thinking I'm a duper. What are you doing? You're just, what does that mean? There's nobody else. Then there's nobody else around me. I wasn't joining any group. There was nobody else dressing like that. I forget.
Love it.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
At least I got my clippers back.
I'm very, very thrilled for you that you got, because we would have always just assumed that the
Bass player.
bass player had it.
Mhm.
Um,
All right, you got anything else? So Daddy's got to get ready for his comedy show.
I've been taking over all the topics. I didn't know if there was something else you wanted to.
I had a couple I thought were interesting. We're very popular. My brother called up with topics. I said, I don't know. He had his topic was most athletic thing to do. He's listening to the WGN on the radio. He said, most athletic thing to do.
Is
And they just opened that up as a topic on that radio show. And it was interesting. I said, Melinda was interested in things, but I don't know how interested she is in athletic things. I don't know if she have an opinion on something.
well, I would think the most athletic thing to do would be based on where you live, right?
Well, they're talking like professional Olympics, something like that. If you had say, what's like, is it throwing a javelin? Is it archery? Is it golf? Is it a bowling ball? Is it running a quarter mile? What's the most athletic thing you could think of somebody to do? Is it shooting a basketball from 38 feet?
I don't know.
Well, it was I said, well, I said, you and I could talk about this. Me and Jimmy could talk about this for an hour. Well, is a golfer really an athlete? I like a guy sweating a little bit when he's doing something athletic.
Yeah.
Is it a pool player? Is that athletic or is that a skill? Is it a dart guy or a jab? So that you got that whole other genre you could just peck apart for 20 minutes before you get to what's. I mean, is an IndyCar driver an athlete or is that a skill set?
What do you think? I think that's more of a skill set. I mean, I realize you would have to be in shape, but I would think you need more up here.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but it's just this and this. Okay, but then they say that the most athletic thing to do, or one guy seemed to be in some kind of agreement, was hitting a baseball, a major league baseball. That thing's coming in at you at 92 miles an hour, and you're hitting it with 2 inches of wood.
That is true.
Yeah, I mean, it's hand-eye coordination. Or then the guy said, well, what about throwing a baseball at 93 miles an hour into a specific area?
Yeah. I would think that's a combination of a skill set, right? Because you really have to know.
Yeah,
how
but it's all body too. It's not like you're working at control.
Right. Right. Huh.
Huh.
No, I know. Huh.
Huh.
Well, I don't, because I was raised in a family of girls and then I had girls, we honestly didn't, it's not, I didn't have teams or, whatever. So I don't often think about those things, but I do think it's interesting because clearly any kind of a professional sport takes a certain level of
course,
and athleticism. I mean, even bowling, which I think is lame as shit, takes a certain amount of, you've got to know exactly where your body's going, how your hand is turning, right? All of this stuff to make it work.
But again, do you demand that your athletes sweat or, are athletic looking? I mean, there used to be there was a golfer, the Walrus on the tour in the 70s, 320 pounds, but the guy could golf the shit out of it.
Isn't that funny? And people, I mean, I would think people wouldn't be interested. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, famously, like you'd always have. Watching my dad watch the golf in the 60s and 70s. He's on the couch. You see the golfer. He's smoking a cigarette, puts it down, picks up the cigarette, move back. Lee Trevino.
That is so funny. I guess in our era, everybody did smoke, right? Pretty normal to have.
My dad smoked, absolutely.
Yeah, pretty normal. That's funny. You know what? In the short amount of time that we've been on the planet, and maybe because I'm older now, things have changed so much, right? When I think about how small my world was growing up and how I grew up in the era of local phone calls versus paying for long distance.
Absolutely. How many units? We had units, depending upon how far away that was. That called 6 units.
See, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Because, I always thought it was funny. My mom would talk about when they got a phone in their house, you'd call like Pennsylvania 65000, like it was a whole different system and people could hear you on the line and the operator would listen.
Yeah, party line.
What? That seems
I was born just after that was in the 60s, that was not a thing in Chicago, but my older brothers and sisters, and certainly my parents lived through that.
It's so interesting. And when I tell Alex, because she cannot grasp that I grew up in an era where not only did I not have a cell phone, but we had one phone in the kitchen, and if you weren't home, you
Yeah,
just missed the phone call. She doesn't understand that. Like,
not
what
even
do
an answering machine
no, we didn't have an answering machine. Rich
till to
people
the
had answering.
80s, right?
I don't know when the answering machine came about, but I think towards the end there we got call waiting, I think.
Oh yeah, the phone went nuts. It's funny how we've seen industries just disappear. Payphone industry is gone. I mean, the whole telephone. My God, there's not even there's a phone in your house. Does anybody? How many? What's the percentage of people that have a hardline phone in their house, and it's usually provided by the cable company, not by Ma Bell. Is
Right.
Ma Bell even in business?
I don't know. I think it would be minimal. And what's the purpose of it? Because who calls you on a house phone?
The only reason I have a house phone is sometimes the old cell phone isn't good in the house, because
Really?
when I was at the ranch, I'd get a really
Oh,
very choppy signal. So this is
right.
at least running through the internet, but this is an internet phone. This isn't a 911 call. I mean, when it first came out, now they've integrated 911. But when it first came out, your cell phone couldn't call 911, and this
Right.
thing couldn't call. You could only call 911 through Ma Bell.
Interesting. What do you think the next big thing is going to be in technology?
Oh, well, I've already declared we won't be buying gas in 10 years. It'll be
Yeah.
free.
Yes.
You're gonna have your grandkids won't ever drive a car. It'll be get in the car, voice action. Take me to the Silver King Brewery,
You really
and
think that's going to happen?
oh, that's happening in 10 years, if not less.
I mean, you heard about that? And there was another Tesla wreck where both the passengers were killed.
Allow me to say I'm sorry for that, but nobody gives a crap. You know how many people die every day in regular automobile accidents? Your insurance,
Oh,
your car insurance is going to go down to $50 a year because no one's going to get hit.
I
Well,
remember reading when the elevator was created, that's why they have doormen, because they had to have a man stand inside the elevator to assure people it was safe and they could ride it, right?
yeah. Well, think about this. Everybody's this will be in our lifetime. You'll
Yeah.
get in your car, you'll say where you're going to go, you're hands free, you're having a drink, you're making phone calls, which is attached to your eyeball or whatever it's going to be. But now traffic's going to go like this because everybody's going to be equidistance away. You only can be you can be 2 feet away from the guy in front of you when you're going 60 miles an hour because we're all seeing all
Yeah.
the traffic will be obvious. People will go think they're going to look back in this time. Oh my God, you mean people were just rolling over people in the cars? Yeah. You mean you could just drive out and kill somebody? Yeah. You didn't they have the automatic sensors all lined up? No, they didn't. What? It was a massacre of 400 people a day, and we were still on the roads. Nobody
Yeah.
gives a shit. Now nobody's gonna be hit.
There's something so nice about going for a drive, I think, driving the car.
It'll be well, people will go into a well, in 50 years, people will go into blind panic when they flip manual on the car.
Okay.
Manual, just immediately drive off the road and then start tumbling.
All right. Well, what about flying cars? Is that a thing you think is going to happen?
No,
Okay.
because if you fly the car, now you may have, now I'm talking about a real flying car where the car has wings and it takes off and it lands at the local airport and it folds up its wings and it goes and drives to its business appointment. That's
Right.
never going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. It's going to be a drone, helicopter type drone
Yeah.
that it's going to come in front of your house, pick you up, and then fly you across town and then drop you off.
I
Forget
could
about traffic. Drones.
I could see that. You think Uber's already working on that?
They've already patented things like this out in California. You'll have these things in California within 5 years.
Okay. Interesting. I think I'm going to be one of those old people that all leave
No,
society and
embrace the damn new things.
I'm going to go live in the mountains and just talk about those crazy kids.
You know, here's my saddest prediction. Want to hear the saddest prediction?
Yes.
You're going to look up in the sky and it's going to be loaded with crap. It's going to be loaded with things that are up there, cars and drones and eat at Joe's and blimps and signs. And oh, there's that Amazon warehouse in the sky because they're going to just be dropping drones to deliver your packages. And you're going to say, my God, where do we go to just look up in the sky and not see crap up there? Just like when you're driving down the road, you're seeing billboards. God, the billboards, they're never ending. Believe me, back in 1820, there weren't any billboards. They took the covered wagon out and they went and they just didn't see a bunch of that crap. You're going to see stuff flying in the sky. It's to me like you don't
Like
see the stars anymore. Huh?
Like the Jetsons.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be like the Jetsons or Star Wars, and it's gonna be like people in the city. They get used to not seeing the stars anymore. People in the city will get used to not seeing just sky. Is
Well,
everyone depressed?
No, because then whenever things get advanced like that, then there's the whole retro phase where people will say, you know what? We'll make this little community retro where there's nothing electronic.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hope that's an interesting thought. Yeah, I like that.
I'll be the crazy old lady that runs it.
That's fine, but I tell you, but we're going to live safer, and longer lives. I'm afraid we get a little softer in the meantime, but we'll see what happens.
I'll be yelling, leave your eye sensor at the door.
We had listen to this. Can I? This is our last thing because I got to go.
Okay.
But I want to get this thing off the refrigerator. So you got to fill for 18 seconds.
I think I can do that. So while everybody that's on iTunes, Tom is getting up and going to get something because he's got a crazy idea, and that's how this show runs. We pretty much are off the cuff a lot of the time. So I'm sure whatever Tom brings back is going to be brilliant, and
5, 4, 3.
we'll all be surprised and thrilled. Back.
So Patrick and I get invited to a derby party tomorrow. Tomorrow's the Kentucky Derby. I know your fingers on the pulse for all sporting events. Here's an opportunity to bet, by the way.
Tomorrow is the Kentucky Derby. How did I miss that?
Anyway.
I need a hat.
So I've been out and about in the neighborhood. I'm the walker. So I'm engaging with a lot of the neighbors, for better, for worse, whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm trying to respect everybody, but I've engaged with the people. So I'm a known entity now because I wave at them as they're driving in and driving out. So that's how I operated at the ranch. Everybody knew me and Abby.
Well, and
So-
you're 6'4". People notice you.
Yeah, I get noticed. I'm kind of understanding that. I never really thought about that in the past, but because I'll look at a room and go, look at that son of a bitch. He's huge. Yeah, he's 6'4", just like you. I'll go, really? I suppose. I never think about it. So here it is. So we get invited. One of the neighbors I've chatted up. She's the one that said, and he walked up to me and goes, what do you do? Where are you at? Where are you from? What's going on with you?
Yeah.
And then she's the same one that said, when I said I sell stuff on Home Shopping, she
Oh,
said, I could have
wow.
done that. I could have done that, but I
Yeah.
don't want people talking in my ear while I'm working.
No, because everybody auditions at 8.
So Pat gets an invitation for the Derby party.
Yes.
Now we get to the good part. All this is the what's happening. Masks are not required. Feel free to wear a cloth mask if you so desire. However, please, no medical or N95 masks unless truly medically necessary. They make your hostess feel ill. Please use common sense and stay home if you feel ill or unwell. Regrets only. So if I hand you this piece of paper, regrets only. So if you're not coming, you got to call me and tell me you're not coming.
No, I don't. First of all,
it said regrets only.
How dare another human being during a pandemic, how dare they tell their people how to not protect themselves?
Okay, we should have led with this, right?
How dare this person do that? I'm appalled on so many levels. And secondly, you can't tell people what kind of fucking mask to wear. Oh, am I making you uncomfortable at your special? I hope nobody comes to her fucking party.
This is you. Done and done.
What are you guys gonna do? What are you wearing?
As a matter of fact, I have an alternative plans, so I probably won't be attending any regardless. But then you know me, I love to go in for the conflict. I love to go in for the amusement. I love to go for the let's see what's going to happen. Oh, by the way, I know you don't like to talk about this, but did you see that Pence is considering running against Trump for president. That's going to pay per fucking view.
Oh, I
would
would watch
could you imagine that debate?
Yeah, I would watch that.
That'd be crazy. I would pay to see that.
I would watch that. This Derby party, she said only regrets, but if you don't go, are you going to tell her you're not going?
Well, I mean, that's what it means.
I know.
Only call if you're not coming.
It's
I've handed you the paper. The Queen has issued the announcement. It's a royal invitation.
Here's what I want to end on, because I know you have to go.
Yep.
Remember on our last show, I talked about the 73-year-old woman who the police had attacked, right? And then we had the conversation, and it really struck me because you said, come on, with the media, that sounds a little exaggerated, like it's right. And I sent you the link. Was it exaggerated?
No, it was horrific.
It was horrific. But it made me think of this, Tom, because you and I talk a lot about during these times, it's hard for people to understand things that are out of their grasp, right? Like if you tell me about someone molesting kids, I have what? I don't get it, right? It doesn't make sense. So when you said to me, oh, come on, it's probably exaggerated, I thought it was such an important moment to go, you know what? This is why I think we're struggling with the pandemic. I think a lot of people cannot grasp that their actual life is in danger if they go to a party. I think they can't grasp it. I think it's just too much for people. So instead of trying to educate themselves, they just ignore it. That's what I've learned. People will just ignore stuff.
It's turned into a political thing.
Right? And just like you could not fathom that police would not only tackle a 73-year-old woman with dementia, but that they would laugh about it.
Yeah, it was so sad.
And it's so sad. But at the same time, doesn't it really make you look at humanity in another way? Because if we're just now learning about this is not the first time these guys, you don't start out shoving old ladies down on the ground, right?
I agree. Are you trying to end the show on a high note or some other note?
I'm getting to it. So here's what I'm saying. This goes with the Derby party and, the woman getting hurt, is that if during this time, if we ever feel confused or we can't grasp something and we're like, oh, that seems crazy, what if we just actually took a step back and let people live their fucking lives and quit trying to act like we know everything? Because I feel like,
but what if trying to live your life is not taking a vaccine?
what part of living your life is not taking
What if part of living your life is not taking the vaccine?
Well, here's what I'm saying. If you take a step back,
Yeah.
that means you have to step out of your space and look at the big picture. I think it would shift some people's minds because we're all looking from this tiny little hole of like, but me and my life and mine. Well, like I told you, the reason I'm getting my second Pfizer shot is because I recognize the world I live in is not going to be safe if people don't get the shot. So why can't we just all take a step back and look at the big picture like India and everything else and go, oh, we all are connected. It makes a difference. We're not all these individuals living individual lives. We're all connected.
I don't disagree, but they're not going to come to the same conclusions.
Well, what's it going to
It's the Dusty Slay version of reality. Why can't we all get along? If you're wearing a mask, you're an idiot. Why can't people just get along? Don't show me that mask bullshit. I don't believe it. Why just can't we all get along? Well, yeah, let's get along on your terms, Mr. Slay. And you're saying the same from you. They're doing their gut check and coming up with a different result.
But are they doing a gut check? I guess that was my point.
Because it's their reality. They're not stepping over bodies, so they don't think it's real.
Yeah, but just like you didn't think that was real, but then you read, right?
Well, because news is always slanted. Can be. Because I just told you the same news story. I was watching, the woman said, and then she was just walking to the Capitol and she got shot.
Right.
There you go. That was a person who said that. She reported that she slanted the event in that way.
So it's just hopeless then. We don't have the capability.
It's going to be a tipping point. Hopefully, either the idiots are going to be running the asylum in 10 years, or the idiots are going to be so fractured that they can't get a quorum to take over any power. That's what it's going to happen. That's going to be in the next 10 years.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because we're living through a very historical time. Our grandkids and our grandkids are going to be talking about this.
We dodged such a bullet by not electing that guy. Such a bullet was dodged.
I feel like it was important that he was in office so we could really see. I think we needed to see that extreme.
Who knows what's going on? Yeah, who knows?
I don't know. I feel like I learned a lot. Have a great show tonight. Remind everybody what time.
Yes, 8:30 at Silver King. I'll be leaving here about 7-ish.
Okay.
So if you wanted to come and get a ride.
There you go. Well,
How do I stop this train? Oh, it's down over here.
we'll promote it on social media. So I'm Melinda McKinsey.
I'm Tom Wise.
You've been unpacking some shit with us, and we will see you on Monday.
Monday. Have a great weekend. See you when I get classes. That's another one in the can.